The applicants, also members of Sexual Minority Uganda, in this case include Frank Mugisha, Denise Wamala, and Semfuka Joanita Wari. They filed this case in the Supreme Court against the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The applicants argue that the tried justices of the Constitutional Court erred in law when they held that the applicants' proposed name, Sexual Minority Uganda, was undesirable and that the Uganda Registration Services Bureau was within its mandate to disallow it.
Are here to appeal the decision from the Court of Appeal, where we are not satisfied with the fact that the Uganda Registration Bureau refused to register or reserve the name Sexual Minorities Uganda, and we're at this court because we believe that we shall get a good decision from this court. So basically we're here today to appeal the decision from the Court of Appeal to make sure that LGBTQ persons are also allowed freedom of assembly in Uganda and freedom of association. So one is to say that the court was wrong in saying that LGBTQ persons are not allowed to associate or to assemble in this country, because the Constitution guarantees every Ugandan that freedom. Well, the name Sexual Minorities Uganda, the name Sexual Minorities Uganda resonates with the LGBT community, and it encompasses a broader spectrum of people who identify as LGBTQ. So for us, it's very important to have that visibility and identification with the name. Prevail, and I hope that this time around the judges will use the law and not the conservative ideologies that are peddled in the public. They won't be swayed by public discourse. They will go by the law, because if they go with the law, they will definitely give us the name. The objective of Sexual Minorities Uganda is the protection of the human rights of LGBTQ Ugandans, and that is legal. This is very important. First of all, it is the first case coming from an LGBTQ entity or organizing that is coming to the Supreme Court. And then this case has been going on for a very long time. The fact that we are at the Supreme Court at this point is a landmark, it's history in the making. I think many of our colleagues are celebrating this, not only in Uganda, but even around the world. Because many of LGBTQ cases around the world go up the Supreme Court. And if this decision is made, it will be a precedent that will be used by many other activists around the world and around Africa.
They also claim that the justices erred in law when they held that the proposed objectives of the company are criminal and prohibited under Section 145 of the Penal Code Act.
Background. Sexual Minorities Uganda, SMUG, applied to reserve that name with the Registrar of Companies, Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The registrar declined to reserve that name, and by administrative fiat ruled that the objects of the association of SMUG were contrary to law. So we are in the Supreme Court. This matter has gone through a number of processes. SMUG filed the case in the High Court, and the High Court judge ruled that the objectives of SMUG were contrary to Section 145 of the Penal Code Act. Section 145 of the Penal Code Act, for those who do not know, has dual crimes, the twin crimes of bestiality and homosexuality. So SMUG filed an application in the High Court, and the judge made that ruling. SMUG appealed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal basically affirmed the decision of the High Court. We take the view that that is a fundamental error, both in law and in fact. People belonging to the LGBT community are not simply sex objects. They are hard-working, law-abiding citizens of the Republic of Uganda, and all the rights that are guaranteed under Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Uganda accrue to them like they accrue to every other citizen. The problem with our legal system has always been to look at the LGBTQ plus community simply as sex objects and not as human beings. And that is a matter that we are contesting. We are contesting the fact that they have a right to associate, they have a right to education, they have a right to health, and to organize to achieve those objectives. Intimidate you to present yourself as what you are not. Why must anybody choose for you a name? So that would mean if we walk down that route, we would be surrendering to a position where if a person doesn't like the name Fox, and I want to register Fox and Company Advocates, they will tell me Fox is an animal that eats chicken, find a better name.
Yeah, that's the name we like. Yeah. That's the name that we want, so we wouldn't want to change it. And it has the pedigree. It has been with us.
On these and other grounds, they want Supreme Court to overturn the Court of Appeal decision. The Court of Appeal, in dismissing the applicant's application, was of the view that members of the sexual minority Uganda organization were seeking to promote acts of LGBTQ activities in Uganda. Justices of Court of Appeal also agreed with the High Court decision that the Uganda Registration Services Bureau acted in accordance with the law by not registering Sexual Minority Uganda as an organization, as its objectives were aimed at promoting behaviors that are not accepted in the country.
But he gave me notice in time.
Pack it and back.